Joining us now, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Mr. Secretary, welcome back to the show. We appreciate it. We know you're a very busy chap. And your colleague, Commerce Secretary Lutnick, told another network that we've already reached a deal with another country pending the outcome of the parliament. He said it's done. I think Howard used 4 dones. So I thought I'd ask you about these dones. Do we have a deal, and with whom?
Larry, always good to be on. And, you know, Larry, I'm not going to get ahead of the president. That nothing's done until President Trump announces it, as you know. So we should wait to hear from President Trump over the next couple of days.
Well, it's in India. Everybody knows it's India. I think everybody knows it's India. What can you say about it? You yourself have said that we're probably the closest with a deal in India.
Again, Larry, as you know, nothing is done till the president signs off on the 18 key trading relationships. The president described them to the trade team as bespoke. Every deal is different, and he's going to be involved. So I'll wait to hear from him.
Do you think, Mr. Secretary, that President might announce this at his speech in Michigan tonight, this trade deal?
Larry, I don't know. He loves Michigan. I think he's going to be talking about how he is bringing manufacturing back to America and the role of tariffs in those. But I don't know if he's going to announce a particular trade deal.
Oh, I thought maybe you were going to say he might be able to bring some Indian manufacturing back. That was a joke. That was a joke. I know I'm trying as best I can, and you're trying as best you can, and we're two old friends trying to make some news here. I get it. The stock market did very well today. So did the bond market. So one more question on the trade thing, on this trade business. In Warren, Michigan, outside of Detroit, the former car capital of the world, maybe it will be once again, will the president be easing up? Will he announce any easing up of automotive tariffs, whether they're car parts or foreign cars coming in? Can you tell us anything on that, Mr. Secretary?
Yeah, Larry, I think there is a plan for changes in the auto tariffs. I don't know if he signed the executive orders before he left today or they'll be signed tomorrow.
But it won't be double tariffing like steel and aluminum tariffs or car part tariffs. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that there are some exemptions, some workarounds, and some runway for the auto manufacturers because the president has met with the domestic auto manufacturers, he's met with foreign auto manufacturers, and he wants to make the U.S. the best destination for auto manufacturing. And you know, when we get to the tax deal, one of his programs is to make interest on auto loans for cars made in America, both new and used, tax deductible.
I want to cut taxes in a minute, but just one more question on trade. As you know, everybody in the markets are wondering about China trade, whether there's been any discussions between Mr. Trump and Mr. Xi, whether you've had any discussions, or in general, what can you tell us about the prospects for China-U.S. trade?
Oh, well, Larry, what I can tell you is, as I've said many times, I think from the Chinese side, these high tariffs are unsustainable. That I believe that U.S. Buyers did a substantial amount of pre-ordering, and now the factories in in China are having to shut down. And I've seen some very large estimates of potential worker layoffs if these tariffs stay in place. So what I can tell you is the tariffs are unsustainable on the Chinese side, that we have a deficit with them. The surplus country always suffers more, and they sell us roughly 5 times more than we sell them.
So, but basically the point is they need us more than we need them, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. But I guess people want to know, is there any movement between the two countries at this stage?
Larry, again, we're working on lots of deals. The president's going to be involved with all of them, and I will wait and let him announce those when it's time.
Well, here's a question, though. It's really a strategic question. As you know, we signed the so-called Phase 1 trade deal in January of 2020. Okay, that deal was signed. I was on that trade team. That thing was like drawing water from a rock. But anyway, most of the people familiar with that, including my good friend Bob Lighthizer, believe the Chinese have not lived up to the deal. They've not lived up to the commodity purchases, whether it's agriculture or manufacturing. They've not lived up to the ending the theft of intellectual property rights, ending the forced technology transfers, allowing American companies to have complete control. Most folks believe China has not lived up to the deal. So, Mr. Secretary, my question to you is, if you negotiate with China, if and when you get around to negotiating with China, would you use the Phase 1 deal as a starting point with a lot of work put into it, or you want to sweep the slate clean and begin all over again?
Well, Larry, I think we'll have to take into account that they didn't adhere to the Phase 1 deal. And, I note with great interest that the Biden administration liked the tariffs, but they didn't enforce the purchase agreements. So even on January 19th, before President Trump came back into office, the tariffs from the Phase 1 deal were still in place. And look, since then, over the past 4 years, trade has not gotten fairer with China. And Larry, the other, and I would say the most important thing is you agree, I agree, but most importantly, President Trump believes that economic security is national security. And we got a beta test for that during COVID, when I think Americans were shocked to see the vulnerability of the supply chains for such strategic things as medicines, as semiconductors, steel. So one of the most important things that we will be doing over the coming years is fortifying the supply chain.
Yeah, well, of course, a lot of people would like the Chinese to come clean on COVID, but that may or may not ever happen. But I appreciate what you're saying. China as an untrustworthy country at this stage. So let's go to the tax bill, the reconciliation bill. I believe you said you expect it to get done July 4th. House Speaker Mike Johnson, he's mentioned Memorial Day, which is May 31st. I'm sure you know the old phrase, the sooner the better. What about May 31st, Mr. Secretary? That's sooner than July 4th.
Well, the Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have shown incredible unity, and I would attribute that to President Trump's leadership. And they have moved the bills and their respective houses forward. Larry, what you're talking about is Speaker Johnson expects to have the House portion complete and then pass it over to the Senate. And what I am hoping for is that we will have a signed, sealed, and delivered tax bill by July 4th that will give greater surety to American companies, the American consumer, and provide a real impetus for the U.S. economy, just as the tax bill did 2018, 19, and even 20 during COVID.
So on this, I take it the millionaires' tax is out by presidential statement. I'm also hearing, though, from the Hill a new corporate bracket, and I couldn't figure out, was that the 15% made in America bracket, or is there actually talk about raising the corporate tax? What can you tell us, Secretary?
I think that President Trump mentioned during the campaign a 15% made in America bracket. We're analyzing a lot of things, whether that's a stated bracket, whether that's an effective bracket, because Larry, as you know, one of the most powerful aspects of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was the 100% expensing of equipment. So President Trump said in his address to Congress that expensing would be carried back to January 20th. But what we are going to add to that is 100% expensing for factories. So you will be able to expense both the equipment and the structure. And Larry, for somebody like you who is growth, 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 I can't imagine a better accelerator than 100% expensing for equipment, 100% expensing for the structures, and then putting in tax surety, regulatory surety, and combining that with cheap energy.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, I think that's very powerful growth, and I think growth messaging is really important. On some of the other tax cuts 2.0, the tax-free tips, the tax-free overtime, seniors and car loans and so forth. I was reading in one account that those would go into the reconciliation bill, but they'd be given a 4-year temporary window. Can you confirm or deny that?
Larry, I don't know where the House and the Senate are. I think that they are working with both their bodies to make sure that the members are aligned. So I'm not going to get out in front of them and box them in on that. But I can tell you the president has made his priorities clear, and all 4 of those campaign promises he is intent on keeping.
All right, well, that's good news. You talk about the 10-year all the time, 10-year bond. It's down to 417. I checked before we went on the air. So actually, net over the first 100 days or so, it's actually dropped quite a bit. And so my question now is, when will the Federal Reserve drop its federal funds target rate? I mean, I don't know. The long-term bond's coming down in yield. Why not ease up a little bit? It looks very tight to me.
Well, Larry, I said at my confirmation hearing, and I've repeatedly said that once I became Treasury Secretary, I would only talk about the mistakes that this Fed previously made, not about the ones they were going to make. So I will leave that to smart commentators like you. But I will note that not only has the 10-year come back down, but the 2-year is actually coming down too.
Yes.
So an inversion between the Fed funds rate and the 2-year tells us something about the mind of the market.
Well, you're right about that. And I'll just say, since you've coined me as a commentator, that if the CPI is running towards 2%, we're likely to get a very good number tomorrow. We don't need a 4.5% Fed funds rate. That's just my commenting as a commentator. Last question, Mr. Secretary Bessent. After 100 days, what stands out to you the most as our Treasury Secretary?
Well, Larry, it's just the momentum. Is President Trump, the amount of momentum, the transparency, the energy that he has brought back to Washington. As you said earlier, the common sense, look at the success on securing the border. Everyone said, oh, this can't be done. And some of the targets that the Biden administration had were in the tens of thousands. And I think a few weeks ago, 9 people came across the border, most of whom we let in for medical reasons. So, it's the enthusiasm, and I think what we've really done here is deals. So we've worked on deals. There's a peace deal, there's a trade deal, there's a tax deal, and the first 100 days has set the table, and I think the next 100 days we're going to see the fruition of all those.
All right, thank you very much, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. We appreciate it, sir, very, very much. Good luck to you.